Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging on a couple of minutes. We've run a bit behind due to a few technical issues. However, just as we say this, Paul, hello.
Hello.
He's here. We found him. Yes, so apologies to anyone who didn't get the notification. This was unfortunately scheduled for 8:30 this morning, and none of us were really around and awake then. But we're here now. We're here at 8:30, as we normally are. And tonight, I'm joined by a lovely duo. Danny, how are you? How have you been?
Hello. Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. Thanks. Hope you're okay. Everyone's in the chat as well. We've got Spurs, Chelsea, going on in the background. So potentially some drama coming up, but so far it's not quite looked like there's going to be as much drama as there was a couple of weeks ago with Liverpool, Chelsea. But we shall see. It's only 1-0, so we'll see what happens there. But otherwise all good.
I've even made a ticker for the occasion. Hey, my technical skills at this point are wonderful, I have to say. So the only goal so far, if anyone's not watching it live, is Hamano, 37th minute. And it was a really lovely goal, actually. Now, Paul, have you got a baby in the background or a cat?
That's Nancy. There's Nancy.
Nancy's back. Hello, Nancy.
There you go, Nancy.
Once we start the show.
Do you want to talk about the WSL instead of me? Right, there we go.
It's like, no.
Today is chaotic. As you can see, I am on the bare bones on my phone again. That is my fault.
Here. That's good.
That is my fault. That's because I have been house sitting the past 3 months. My parents came back from Australia today, hence me getting to rep the AFL finally. Go St Kilda. But basically, that means I have raced across the city with 4 bags, got here, and then realised I left the power supply for my laptop at the other house.
No, after all that.
So, as you can see on Absolute Football WSL, we are a professional outfit. We know what we're doing.
Professional. I don't know what you're talking about.
But yes, here I am, and I thought it was going to be a quiet week because Man United won, so very little Skinner ranting. And then Arsenal said, "Hold our beer."
Yeah, Arsenal kind of unleashed the Kraken this week, didn't they? But we have all of that to talk about. So thank you to everyone who's joining us in the chats. Yes, we are live at 8:30. We've got Graham, good evening. Thank you for joining us again. Chloe, good evening as well. Good shout, Jill screening it with the Chelsea game. I think Danny's doing that for us as well. And good evening to Simon. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to everyone in the chat. And remember, if we miss anything score-wise or anything like that, do keep us right. You are very good at doing that. And hey, it's our lovely Josh, our Lord and Saviour. Professionalism is not how we do it here. Yeah, absolutely right. Team Chaos all the way for us. Yeah, so you might have noticed we are a trio this evening. Yeah, Sam, we made it. We're on, we're live, we're good, I hope. We've got some ticks in the corner, so I hope that means we're live. It's fine, we're good. We are a trio, as you can see. We were meant to have the lovely Natalie with us, but she scored some free tickets to Old Trafford. So she's there this evening, but we will see Natalie again at some point in the future, hopefully very, very soon. And she has... basically, the questions I was going to ask her tonight about Man United. So for those of you who don't know, Natalie was going to join us from a Manchester United perspective. And she has sent me some voice notes back for the questions I was going to ask her during this pod. So hopefully we can have a nice balanced discussion with all that's gone on. So the massive one that we're here to talk about is, of course, the FA Cup final, and it was the 54th edition of the trophy. And the thing that got the most attention initially was Mark Skinner's jumper. I don't know what he was thinking, to be honest, as it was 28 degrees and he's wearing a roll neck.
Polo neck, yeah, that's an interesting choice, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he looked smart, fair play to him, but not the best option for pitch side when the sun's beaming down at you. But yeah, fashion choices aside, it didn't end the way it started. It was very much a game of two halves. So, of course, United got to the final last year, didn't they? Lost out to Chelsea. And you could tell that they had that fight and that grit. And they were like, right, okay, we're coming for you. We're gonna win it. Now, thinking about the lineup, Daniel, we'll come to you first. Was that the lineup for kind of United and Spurs, how you thought they were going to set up? Or is Mark Skinner kind of used his get out of jail free card with Richard Williams in a final?
Yeah, I think it was clever of Mark Skinner. We'll give him a bit of credit for that, because he used that get out of jail free card in the semi-final against Chelsea, and it worked wonders. And for this one, you just got the feeling that from the start it was the right decision, because from every single set piece, Rachel Williams was up there, and she should have scored a couple before she scored her goal later on. Such a threat, such a fighter, such a battler. She's been in cup finals before. She knows what she's doing. And I did get a feeling before the game that he would go with Williams from the start, just to create that focal point and to have that that experience up front, and to hold the ball up and to get on the end of things and to real battle away with Spurs. I think when you've got a Spurs team, again, a new experience for them, as it is for some of the United players as well. But for Spurs, you just think if you've got someone as kind of like a cannonball like Rachel Williams is, running into you all the time and causing you so many issues from the start in that heat as well, it was pretty much how I expected them to start. For sure. Spurs as well obviously didn't have as many options as United maybe, but pretty much as expected from them as well. Yeah, but it was just, I was really hoping for Spurs to win. I was really hoping that they were going to find a way of getting through, and I think for the first little bit they did compete well and did play really well. It's just at the end of the day, United just got the job done. But yeah, from lineup perspective, definitely pretty much how I expected, I think.
Yeah, because like you said, so both teams kind of had early chances, didn't they? And I think if they'd have gone in maybe 0-0 at half time,
exactly,
then maybe the tide could have turned maybe a little bit later, or could have been a bit tighter all the way through. Paul, from kind of a Spurs perspective then, so obviously we know how it ended 4-0, if people weren't too aware. So sounds like quite a hammering, to be honest, 4-0. But I'll ask that a different way. Spurs from the beginning of the season till now, what can they take as like the positives from this? Because they did have some good moments, didn't they?
I think the main thing, and firstly, is everybody ready? Is everybody sitting down? Because I'm going to praise Mark Skinner. So
praise him.
I'm just gonna because I'm gonna agree with what Danny said about Rachel Williams. I think that we joke about the get out of jail free card. We joke about if I was being uncharitable, I'd say he just decided to get his get out of jail free card on straight away. But Danny's point about creating a focal point, a battering ram, if you like, for the Spurs defence to be worn down on a hot day. I think that did work, and I think we saw it in the first goal, because there was a bit of controversy over the first goal, and I think from a Spurs perspective, shush, Nancy. Yes, I know there was controversy. Go on, over there. She's like, I want to be involved with everything. She hasn't seen me in a couple of days.
I want to too. I've got an opinion.
But
she's got, as soon as you mention Skinner, she's in there. She's like, she knows it's a trigger somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's the way we tell her she's going to the vet, so she runs away. Hateful experiences and all that.
Hang on, are you comparing Mark Skinner to the vets? Is that what this is?
And it's unpleasant, and no one likes to go there. Yeah, probably. But
yeah, praise to Mark Skinner. No wonder the cat's going off.
But no, I think it worked, and I think we saw it with the first goal, because Rachel Williams was key in that first goal, even though she didn't touch the ball. Because if you're being charitable, then she was the perfect centre forward play, and she made space for Ella Toone by blocking off Luana Bula, basically. If you're being uncharitable, you say she interfered with play, and it was the dark arts. But either way, it gave Toone the space to hit an absolute beauty of a strike, And I think as soon as you saw that, you maybe had Spurs players go, "Oh boy, they've turned up today."
Yeah,
kind
that's
of thing.
what we're up against.
Psychological.
Yeah.
But we've had questions this season over both teams psychologically, but I think Spurs are still a team who a lot of that Manchester United team were battling at the top of the table last season, and are used to the kind of, and they've obviously played at the final already. So I think as soon as that first goal went in, I think Spurs will start thinking, "Oh boy, now what do we do?" But yeah, from a Spurs perspective, I think again it's a learning experience. I think it's the kind of thing you can't learn how to play in big games without playing in big games, even if you lose them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing that Spurs can take from this. And I think with a manager like Robert Villaham as well, that's the kind of thing they will take. I would obviously, I've got no idea what was said or anything like that. No pipeline to the Spurs dressing room or anything. But I like to think that post game was kind of a Swedish Ted Lasso type moment. You've got all the Spurs players coming in, sitting down, having just lost 4-0 in the cup final, reacting how you'd expect 4-0 in the cup final. And he comes in and starts delivering homespun Swedish wisdom about herrings or something, and just
not being stereotypical or anything, but yeah,
and just kind of says, "Hey girls, we got here," because he strikes me as that type of manager. Because obviously, when they played Manchester City, and we saw the improvement over several games from Spurs playing Manchester City, and after every game, he was finding positives. And he was finding ways to say, "Yeah, we know that we're not perhaps at this level regularly, but we'll get there, and we will take every opportunity." And I honestly, I think the result was harsh on Spurs. I think if you just look at the score, you think it was a hammering, but Spurs more than played their part there, and I think they can come away thinking, "Yeah, we've got the taste of it now. We want to be at cup finals a lot more often."
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they can't lose that perspective of we made it. The first time in our history, we got this far, we showed up, and for the most part, for a good, 40, 50 minutes, they were toe-to-toe with United. Yes, Elatoon's wonder goal went in, but that was pretty special, that went in. And, the second goal was just an unfortunate clanger, wasn't it? From the goalie, which can happen. The fact it happened in a final was just probably the worst thing that she could have ever imagined with that one. But then it was just skill and confidence after that, wasn't it, from United to just keep going and keep going. They weren't satisfied with 1-0, 2-0. They got that momentum and they just kept going, didn't they? With that, and they did incredibly well. Now the next thing I was going to ask you. So we talked about the lineups, but on United's bench in particular, you've got Jace, aka Jay-Z, and you've got Melvin Mala as well, who both did make appearances. I was talking to Nat about this, and she said, delighted Lucia Garcia got the starts, and we saw what an impact she was. But could it be, why do we think that Skinner is so set on using the same players again and again, rather than more rotation? And especially with the talent, could it be issues behind the scenes? Could it be those relationships? Is there anything that could change really if he's to stay in the role? Danny, what do you think?
No, it's interesting because I think the last time they played Spurs in the league, the 2-2, Mala and Paris, I think, started. So he must have learned a few lessons from that and sort of learned a little bit about how Spurs play and where we can get at them. I don't know. It's really hard to know without kind of contacts with the club, really. And it is hard to really tell with body language and stuff with United, because you can tell the players do want to play for United and they're playing for the shirt and they're sort of coming up with these big moments. They've just not been consistent enough in the league. That's where their downfall has been this season. That's where we're really judging them, is the fact that they've gone backwards in the league. And that's why we've given Skinner a lot of stick this season, because they've gone they've dropped off of the league so much, and that's where you're going to end up with your bread and butter, isn't it? And it's going to be really interesting what happens with the new ownership. I know he wasn't there on the weekend, was he? He was, I think, was he at the men's game, Jim Ratcliffe?
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Which was sends a message in itself, which is not good, I don't think. But that's probably another story. It's very, very difficult to see where, because I think this buys him time, Skinner, because it's a cup win at the end of the day, and the joy that the fans will have from that, and the day that they'll remember, it'll be linked to it. So I think it probably does buy him a little bit of time and buys him his new contract next season. But I don't know. I just don't know where they go with the changes happening at other clubs and stuff, and some of the contracts that are up in the summer. I think that'll be a massive point in terms of where United go next season, what the current feelings is in the dressing room. You've got Earps, you've got Zellum, you've got Garcia, you've got Paris, all contracts expiring in the summer. Yeah. Where they end up or how they end up leaving might give you a little bit of a hint as to what's going on and what people think of the management setup, and if they want to be, because they're big characters, aren't they, all four of them? So it'll be really, really interesting to see where that goes and who they manage to bring in and things like that. But I definitely, I mean, for the podcast, it's great that Skinner's probably staying around, right? It gives us a bit of material for next season. But yeah, I definitely would be interested with United fans' perspectives on it, because it does still seem pretty split from what I've been reading. Yeah,
and that's kind of what I would have loved to have Nat on for. But she did say, essentially Mark Skinner's kind of he's done his job. He's got them to a point, but he's probably, well, he's not the manager to take them forward now. They've won the cup, and that's great. They've managed to still get there. But it's more down to the players being loyal to the club and playing for the badge and wanting to do it for each other, rather than kind of him as a manager influencing that. And I think we've all seen that, haven't we, in kind of body language, like you mentioned. And just very much there's that disconnect. And, could that be to do with who does play in the starting 11, who does get subbed on, and those that really they're signed, but they're on the bench and we've never really seen them, and they're never going to get that experience, as Paul says, if they're never going to get played. So how can you kind of judge your players' growth if you never see them play? But Paul, I'll come to you for this next bit, because as Danny briefly mentioned, only was it 1 or 2 of the United higher ups were actually there at Wembley, whereas all of the Spurs higher ups were from the club, and especially with this new takeover. Is a message of good luck really good enough from them?
Well, it was interesting because my boss at work is a proud Man United fan, like born and bred Man United. Supported them since the days of Best and all sorts. So he's a pretty good bellwether, if you like, of opinion on the team. And obviously, he and I have talked a lot about it, just while you're at work. And I mentioned this, and I said to him, "What do you think?" Man United owners showing their opinions, and his perspective was that for Man United as a club, the big games each season, the ones that are the ones where the great and the good turn up, are the Manchester derby, obviously. Liverpool, because of that rivalry, and Arsenal. Those are the 3 games that are the ones to be seen at, if you like. And he was like, possibly the owners felt like if they wanted to get a sense of the men's team and the men's club and Old Trafford at its absolute best, if you like, or its absolute most intense, a Man United Arsenal game was the one to go to. And it was just unfortunate it fell at the same time as the Women's FA Cup final. Now, I don't agree with him, obviously. I think that given the reaction from the fans, I think optics-wise, it's absolutely horrendous. If you're buying a whole team and the women's team have the chance to win their first ever major trophy, and you decide to go and watch what is essentially, from a Man United perspective, a meaningless league game. Like it may be Arsenal, it had ramifications on the Premier League, it had all sorts of stuff, but it was still just a game. It wasn't history.
There wasn't anything hanging in the balance, was there? It literally was just.
It wasn't history.
Literally was a game.
It's more than, I think it's more than the optics, though, isn't it? As well, it's more than what it says to the outside world. It's what it says to the women's players when they're going out on that pitch at Wembley. If he's there at Wembley and he's in the dressing room and is giving you that support, that says a lot to you. And that means a lot. Just him being around and that message that sends, going there and being there in person. Considering that there's a reasonably big men's game going on in Manchester. Being on at the same time, I think that would have sent a massively good message to the players, and it doesn't sit well with me really that he went there instead when he's got the chance to go and be a part of that final, and he'll probably be quite gutted that he didn't, to be honest.
And that's the thing, it's when you are a leader and we've kind of all been managers in some form, or kind of that level of maybe authority in some shape or form in our lives, you need to support your team. You need to support people you work with to show them that you do care, you're there for them. And especially on that scale, that's a bit like if you're at school and the head teacher comes in and says, "Oh, I've heard about all your good work, keep it up." There's that kind of, it's not just kind of your teacher or a manager, it's okay, the higher ups are listening, they're watching, they care, and they're part of this, exactly like you say. So yeah, for one league match, miss it because it's Wembley, it's an occasion, and ultimately your team got the silverware, so they came out victorious. That Simon's put in the chat, they probably can't afford to sack Skinner, Ten Hag and fix the Old Trafford waterfall. Did everyone see the roof kind of fail?
The theatre of streams.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
They're playing Chelsea there on Saturday. It's at Old Trafford, isn't it?
It's Old Trafford, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. What if it's
not according to Robin Cowan on commentary, it wasn't.
Oh, really?
What if Jumanji hits and it gets delayed? There's going to be some drama.
Well, final day drama,
Yeah.
We've got drama here. We've gone to 2 to 3 to 2 to back again. Paul will be back at some point. He always does. You say Mark's going to 3 times and he pops up. So we'll wait. He'll pop up again very soon. Is he there? There he is.
Yeah, sorry, blame the cat.
Nancy.
Cat stood on the cable.
The cat stood on the cable. Oh, that's brilliant. I was going to ask as well. Danny, what do you think about this one? Because we know it was so hot during that day, and it got to 28 degrees pitch side, so they had to have a water break in both halves, which was agreed. How much of an impact did that have on the game, the stamina, just everything that both United and Spurs could actually give in terms of those conditions?
Yeah, I think it probably affected Spurs a little bit more than easy to say after 4-0 defeat, but the way that they play, the attacking moves that they make, that's very much based on momentum. I thought, especially in the first half now, I thought Spurs were really good in the way that they were attacking. You could tell what kind of patterns they were trying to create going forwards. They've got a clear way of trying to play. It might just take a couple of bit of more extra quality going forwards to make it really work, but you could tell what they're building there and you could tell what they're trying to do. So stopping it and having the water break, I know it's vital, I know it's important, you have to do it, but it did stop their momentum a little bit at times, because United could just click back into gear and go, right, get it up to Rachel Williams, get it into space, give it to Tooney, and she'll do something, which she did majestically, by the way. It was more based on the individual moments for United, whereas Tottenham kind of need that time sometimes, I think, to build up their attacks and to get themselves going again. So yeah, I think it did impact them a little bit.
Yeah, because they just looked shattered, didn't they? I remember watching, I think it was Martha Thomas. She was trying to sprint for the ball, and you could just see like her head was down, and she was like, I can't go any faster. She was putting everything into it, and I think, like you said, kind of mentally as well as physically, that must have been really tough to be like, I know I can't play at my best in this heat, but I can't, obviously you can't give up, like that's never in their nature, but it must have really put must have really hurt to not be able to play at that peak. So when the sun did go in a bit later, you could tell them all being like, oh, You don't have to play this side of the pitch anymore because it's the only bit in shade.
Yeah. It didn't stop Samanan from sliding from Wembley to Brisbane Road where she is tonight. They did it for the Toon goal. That slide was pretty impressive.
It was, and you just
felt
think,
like she's in some sort of water park, just going.
Yeah, because she kind of just appeared from nowhere, didn't she? Just kind of like straight across. But you just think, like, if she'd timed that better, and again, could have been down to the heat, maybe judgments weren't great, but if she timed that better, that would have been brilliant. But yeah, it just kind of, it took away a defender, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of just really took out a defender. But yeah, I think that just summed up Spurs' game. Like, they had the intention, you could see what they were trying to do, but it just wasn't enough to execute within that one, was it? Now, so we've talked about Ella Toon's wonder strike. Of course, Rachel Williams with a header as usual from a set piece. Free kick, I believe, for that one. And then Lucia Garcia capitalizes, that's the right word, on a massive blunder from Becky Spencer. Yeah, she tried to clear it, didn't she? The perils of playing out from the back, as we talk about each week, and just passed it straight to Garcia, who was able to put it back into the net. And then Garcia again for the fourth as well. Now, Norsund, now that Skinner's, remembered she exists, she's been a very vital player as well. Paul, who do you think were some of the key players on both teams during that match?
I mean, we've sung the praises of Rachel Williams hugely.
Yeah.
But I also think Norsund and indeed the entire Manchester United midfield, just because they were facing, in my opinion, probably one of the best shutdown midfields in the WSL, in the Finnish duo of Evelina Sumanen and Olga Artinen. I was singing their praises last week, and to be able to play through that Spurs midfield and dominate the way they did, and provide that impetus was huge, because Spurs love to control the play, like we've talked about Robert Villaham and their building patterns and their attacking play. They love to control the play. And sorry to remind you of this, but when I commentated on them when they played Villa earlier in the season, and Martha Thomas's hat trick, it was very noticeable that was a foundation built on Spurs' midfield. And I thought that's where the battle would probably have been won. And the fact that Man United's midfield and, Lisa Norsund, we've said, being a key player, they just seem to have more stability when she's playing.
Yeah.
Like, she's the type of player that your average, I don't want to say your average tourist, but she's the type of player that your average family goer who goes and watches. They'll all focus on the stars, so they'll be going to watch for Man United. They'll think Ella Toon is amazing. They'll think Jade is amazing. They'll think Lucia Garcia is amazing. But for people who watch the whole game, there's just so many little things that Norsund does that you just go, you just have that kind of satisfied nod. Just like,
it's just like when she's like the little flick-ons and just like really, really like technically gifted, but really quick, like a blink and you miss it. But it's so vital in how they build up their players, isn't it? And you just think, yeah, like when you really watch it, she's doing some brilliant things.
She's the football equivalent of those oddly satisfying videos. You get those compilations come up on YouTube of things like, I don't know, a load of balls dropping completely into a set of holes, a load of ball bearings all at once, or when they slice cake or something. Lisa Norsund is like the human equivalent of watching one of those for 90 minutes. She just gives that lovely kind of, yes.
just about ASMR, Paul.
Yeah, she's football. That's it, Danny. She's football ASMR. There you go. She's one of those players who is football ASMR. You just watch it and just go, That's just right.
That's nice.
That just
Yes.
works.
It works well.
Just on repeat,
So
just like.
Yeah. So there you go. That is a podcast term, football ASMR, for a player who does all the lip syncs.
Yeah, it's a new hashtag. We'll get using it. So we are hashtag Team Chaos and hashtag football ASMR as well. And speaking of chaos, what did I see earlier, Graham? Yeah, we come for the chaos and stay for the rants. I think that should be the tagline of the show, to be honest. I think that's pretty apt into, into what we're all about. Now, Chloe's put, can we talk about Lucia tripping down the stairs? Yes, we can, absolutely. So of course it's 4-0. United, the team all go over and celebrate with the fans, etc. They go up to collect their medals, lift the trophy, all lovely. And then they're on their way back down the stairs, and Lucia Garcia, the wonderful meme that she is, just keeps on giving after her iconic quote. Was it last season, earlier this season? And she completely slips down the stairs, does get caught. But the best thing about the video is Katie Zellum then turning around and going, put that on Twitter to the person videoing it.
It's all about the hashtag content. Katie Zellum knows.
Hey, she does. She absolutely knows.
On like the trophy part as well, Maya Letitia having given Alex Scott the FA Cup when she was 14. I don't know if you saw this on social media. There's pictures going around of Letitia as a 14-year-old. I think she's won a competition or something to be able to present the trophy. There's a photo of her presenting Alex Scott with the trophy when she's 14, and then next to it, the photo of her lifting it now. That's an amazing thing. Love that.
Yeah, kind of come full circle to be able to do it. And you think for those players on the team that have kind of been there since day one, like your Millie Turners, your Ella Toons, etc., to be able to lift that in a United shirt must have been pretty wonderful, wouldn't it? For your childhood club. Yeah. So it was very, very special. And like, I think we just need to celebrate that for the team. Skinner aside, we'll celebrate it for them because it is a massive, massive achievement. Now, let's have a look. I did want to, I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but Gabby Logan, right? Just coming back to commentators and pundits and things like that. Now, usually I have utmost respect for Gabby. She said a very interesting phrase. I don't know if anyone else picked up on. She described Mary Earps, because we're talking about her collecting her MBE, which is fantastic. Mary, well done. Congratulations. Well deserved. She said that Mary Earps has made goalkeeping sexy. Now, wrong choice of that. Danny, Paul, what do you think of that comparison? It's not right, is it?
I think if a bloke says that, if it's said about a bloke, there's no issue. But I think given the context of objectification and given the context of, I don't want to say the male gaze, but with female footballers, we're always hearing about the male gaze. She didn't need to say sexy. She could have said made goalkeeping cool, or made goalkeeping.
Well, exactly. That's what she was trying to say, but she chose the wrong words, didn't she?
Yeah, because Ellen White, hats off to her. Again, fantastic that she's gone into punditry. Absolutely love her. She did say, she's made it cool for young girls. It's not a position that you just get shoved into anymore. It's a position that people want to be in. So Ellen saved it. It was absolutely fine. But yeah, I just thought the actual wording of it was very bizarre. So yeah, if we could stay away from that, Gabby Logan, if you're watching in the future, it was just a bit weird to listen to be honest. So less of the sexy talk, please. We're definitely not here for that. Now, another thing we've mentioned briefly, but we'll talk a bit more now. Lots of transfer news, but we'll keep it on United for a second before we go on to what we want to talk about. So, because of the issues and the communication and kind of just the relationships at United, there's been a lot of rumours about who might be coming, going. Are people happy in their contracts? Are they going to leave? Because the news came out this week that Nikita Paris was offered, I think it was it North Carolina Courage? I believe.
I think so,
yeah. And she turned it down because they wanted her to go straight away. And she said, nope, I want to go to Wembley and I want to try and win a trophy. Well, she has. Good decision, Nikita. Well done. Do you think it's a possibility she will go in the summer, either of you, or do you think she's pretty set at staying at United?
I think she's done it.
Yeah, I think she'll go. Yeah. I think that's having heard of it. I think, and how big the NWSL is. I feel like they will either they will come back in for her again, or somebody else will, because they'll see it as a chance. They've given her a little nibble, and she's thought, oh, maybe. And she's given that kind of intention. Like if it wasn't for the cup final, she would have done. So yeah, yes. I feel like that's probably the next move for her, for sure, and it'd probably be the summer.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. The fact that it said it wasn't just a no, thank you. It was a no, because I've got a final to go to.
Yeah.
So there's that caveat there, wasn't there? Yeah, absolutely. And I spoke to Nat about this as well. And she had a few thoughts, especially because Denise O'Sullivan was rumoured as well. So we're talking about, is she actually needed? And Nat kind of said, well, you know, ultimately she is a good player, but she is on the older end of the scale where really we don't need anyone in midfield. And when there are maybe younger players in their prime, or even younger players that need maybe developing a bit more, so you can kind of like hone in and kind of put your stamp on them a bit younger, is that the kind of person and the kind of player that they need? So kind of from what you know, either for United, I'll stick with United. What do they need in the summer window, do you think? What kind of positions do they need to fill, or do they need to have a bit of a clear out?
Manager. But
well, we know that
you left that one wide open.
I know. I tried to be so precise in my questioning as well. You found a way through.
Player-wise, I think they need a focal point. I think they need a number 9. Like, because Rachel Williams is 37, apart from anything, and can't be Mark Skinner's get-out-of-jail card forever. So, a proper number 9, yes, Nancy, I agree. I'm telling them.
Yes, that impact. Ultimately, she's getting minutes because she's making the impact, isn't she? Someone reliable.
I think if I was Ineos, I would be looking and going, right, if we want to convince people that we care about the women's team, we need a massive signing. I would be backing a dump truck full of money up to Viv Miedemar's house at this point, and just saying, yes, we know City are interested. We know that perhaps you want to play number 10, and that's Ella Toon's position. But come and join us, and we will find a way to make it work, even if it is literally every game is 60 minutes of one and 30 of the other, and then they rotate back and forth. It's because this summer more than anything is so important for Manchester United, because I said, and I think there is a view among some people, that Man United winning the FA Cup is the worst possible thing that could have happened, because it means another year of Skinner, and it could mean that in December they're back here 6 months further down the line, another 6 months wasted. A manager's got to come in mid-season, players are dissatisfied. But Eva Payor is a name who's been linked with coming to the WSL. That would be huge.
That would be a brilliant signing for anyone who can land her. Yeah, absolutely. Because she's at Wolfsburg at the minute.
She is at Wolfsburg, yeah. By the way, since we've slagged off commentaries, your pronunciation of Melvie Mellar's name was perfect. So, you know, as a proud French speaker, so I was just, but like, for some reason, my brain thinks they should go for Alex Pop. Imagine.
Oh, that would be yes.
Okay.
If they could tempt her away from Wolfsburg, I don't know whether they could, because Alex Pop being who she is, and you know, settled and everything. But just Ineos again with the dump truck full of money, which is getting a lot of work this summer apparently. Just go to Wolfsburg, right? How much for Alex Pop? There's got there is a limit. Nobody is indispensable, and
it's worth a try, isn't it? If you really, really want someone, be like, right, same as buying a house, right? Best and final. What are you offering? And see.
Yeah, and even if they don't get her, the message is there.
It's the intention,
yeah. The big dogs are out on the transfer market, and Man United are going for players who you'd expect Man United to go for. And that I think more than anything is the key thing that they need to do. Doesn't matter what position the players are in. They don't want to be mucking about going with all due respect to players like Lisa Nelson. When she was signed, she wasn't, a known player. And I'm just seeing myself on the screen. I'm going to put the light on because I look like a flipping vampire. But there we go.
No,
you can see me again.
There we go.
But players like Fallon Tullis-Joyce as well. However high her pedigree is, it was a name a lot of casual fans didn't know,
and still don't really, because has she played once, twice?
She hasn't played a minute in the WSL. So
did she play in the cup once?
She played against Everton.
Yeah,
I can't remember whether that was cup or league.
It's one of them, wasn't it?
Maybe someone in the chat can check that, because
if you could just check for us, please, when Fallon Tullis-Joyce actually made her debut, that'd be lovely. Because what we saw, everyone was really impressed, weren't they? I remember thinking, oh, she could really push Mary for that number one spot there. But as we've seen, and again, is it just the team and another team? Maybe there would be that rotation. We've seen it with Chelsea. Obviously, Villa's had their share of goalkeepers this year as well. And we'll talk about those transfers in a minute as well. So it would be nice to see people who are too good to be sitting on a bench just get something, just not starting every week. If they deserve it, obviously fair enough, but just something so they know they're worth it and they know they've got a shot and they're not just kind of wasting maybe their prime on a bench, really, when they're not going to get played. Graham has put a petition to have Nancy on every week. Yes. I think we should send Nancy to do some of the transfer deals, to be fair, and see what she gets out of the players.
She's on the other side of the room looking at me now, and just like she knows we're talking about her.
Yeah. She's like, yes, I will do that. I will take that job. But also, breaking news, Chloe, thank you very much for getting us started. Chelsea won 1-0. Now, what does that say about either how Chelsea have come out or how Spurs have come out against that defeat? Danny, what do you reckon? From the glimpses that we saw before we came live.
I watched the first half and the first bit of the second half before we come out. Typical Chelsea, really. You kind of got the feeling they were going to get the job done. For Spurs, I was expecting to see them kind of shattered and just completely lose it and be all over the place, and Chelsea just swarm all over them and score 4 or 5. But it wasn't that the case at all. Spurs put in a really good battle, really good performance again. They've put themselves about. Chelsea, though, just do what you expect them to do at this point. They've got the 1-0 win. They've got the 3 points, and they go into Saturday with sort of the momentum with them, and they're back to the top of the table again. And all they need to do pretty much is to win. I think they've got a 2-goal gap they've got now. They've got
2-goal gap.
2 goals. So, I mean, they do go to Man United, and City have got Villa, haven't they? So it could still swing, and goal difference is going to be so exciting. I'm so excited for that final day. But I think on tonight, Spurs did what they could, but they couldn't quite get there at the end of the day. I'm excited for that final day now. It's all
going to be great.
It's going to be so good.
Imagine if Spurs had nicked like a late point against Chelsea. That would have made the final day incredibly interesting.
It's basically City know they've got to go and score loads of goals now. Like no doubt about it, because you just got to go in there thinking Chelsea are going to win. I know it's a tough game at Old Trafford and everything, but you've got to go into that game expecting Chelsea are going to win. You've got to go and score 3 or 4 goals against Villa. Obviously, without Bunny Shaw, it's going to be difficult. But if City go and grab 2 or 3 sort of early on, sorry, Freya, but if they do go a couple of goals ahead, then that's going to filter back to Chelsea. It's going to go backwards and forwards. It's going to be fun. I want City to score a couple of goals in the first 10 minutes and just really set it alight.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be like the England game, wasn't it, when we were against Scotland and it was 6-0.
Yeah.
And you could just see the message from the bench being like, keep going, get another one. And then, who was it? Was it the Netherlands that were playing at the same time and you were just
they got about 2 or 3 in injury time to, it's nuts.
Yeah, because we thought we had it at one point, didn't we? And just, and then it went. So I, just for the drama and the chaos, I would love that final day. I hope Villa Park are selling popcorn, by the way, because I will just be sitting there. It's like, right, what's going to happen next? Of course, I'd love Villa to get something, but it's I don't know if it's filtered into the women's game in the stands yet. It probably hasn't, but there's a lot of time in the men's final days of the season where fans will pretend that the other team have scored, and so they'll jump up. They'll go like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and all jump up as if the team that they're fighting against has conceded or scored or something. But I can't see that happening. We'll see. It's just going to be so exciting, isn't it? It is. Yeah, I cannot wait. Absolutely. So a couple of transfer rumours elsewhere then, before we get onto the big one. So Mariona Caldente is apparently rumoured as a Viv replacement at Arsenal. It was announced today because Arsenal want to watch the world burn that Sabs D'Angelo and Kaelin Bakassi are also leaving. So they're having a massive clear out, especially with goalkeepers. Rachel Corsie, on the other hand, has signed an extension with Villa for another year, and D'Angelo has been rumoured to come to Villa. Interesting. I'll take her. She's a good egg. Apparently, Anna Leet could be going. I don't know where that's come from because we all thought she was quite happy. I hope she doesn't because we need some goalkeepers. And the rumour is still there. Daphne van Domselaar, Arsenal are keeping an eye on her, which means Mary Earps, would they take Earps and Van Domselaar, do we think? Paul, would you think? Or do you think Mary Earps, her Arsenal days are gone and she's off to other different pastures?
I think Mary Earps has missed the boat. I'd like you say, with Daphne van Domselaar. I think the Van Domselaar thing is because Arsenal have basically accepted Mary Earps is not a target and have got sick of waiting for her. So I'm not sure. I mean, I have enjoyed Arsenal watching the world burn today, not least because it has proved my point that Manu Zinsberger is in fact Arsenal's #1 goalkeeper, and they do only have a #1 goalkeeper. Contrary to what all of Arsenal Twitter tried to tell me when I made this point, they are a strange fan base, Arsenal fans. They really are. I'm just warming up for the Myanmar rant. You see, I'm just like get all the hate watchers going. It's like Blades of Glory. Gets the people going. But like, it's a weird one because Mary Earps doesn't, for some reason, for me, she doesn't seem a fit for Arsenal. I don't know what it is.
No, I always thought that. She's never come across as at Arsenal. No.
And like, I don't know what you think, Danny. I'm kind of sat here thinking, but I just think Mary Earps has kind of missed the boat. Her chance was last summer or January when she was coming off the World Cup, because she's had a crap season by her standards, like noticeably underperformed. The gap between the hype and the performance of Mary Earps this season, the fact that the number of people pushing for Fallon Tullis-Joyce to start, fan bases and everything else, that last season you just wouldn't have expected that to happen. And so I think she's a player trading on her name, and I think skills-wise she's missed the boat a bit. And if she's going to get a move, it's not going to be the big one.
Yeah, if it does, it'll be Europe. I think if she wants to take that step, I don't know what her kind of personal situation is and stuff, and in terms of how tied she is to England, but you get the feeling. I mean, you wouldn't have thought she'd go to Chelsea. I think the Arsenal boat's gone. It's probably abroad for her now.
Well, PSG were rumoured at some point, weren't they?
Yeah, I think was that in January time, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, I mean, possibly because she'll want Champions League. She'll want to be fighting up there, won't she, in the top? So
yeah, type of character she want to be up there, won't she? And playing in the big competitions.
Like Chloe said, she's 31, so really, if she's making a big move, she's in her prime, she's doing really well. Yes, the season hasn't been our best, but ultimately we know what she is capable of. So this is kind of the chance now to make that move. Absolutely. Graham's been doing some research for us. She's played 4 League Cup games. Just 4 since signings. Thank you for that, Graham. Our podcast fact checker. Thank you very much. But yeah, I would have liked to see more, to be fair, or a club. Since Arsenal are collecting goalies, she might get a shout. You never know. But yeah, she is really good. I'd like to see her just get more minutes, get more time. Now, Paul, is there something else we want to talk about? Should I introduce it and then I'll let you go?
Yes, probably best. Because I nearly went. I nearly called the WSL club a bunch of effing idiots. Then, so yes, you better introduce it.
I will. Right. So this week, then, you've probably all heard, if you're listening to this, that Viviana Miedema will be leaving Arsenal after 7 years, as she was not offered a new contract. Now, what's the word? Can't think of the word.
There's a lot of words.
Isn't it?
I can think of there's 60 million.
Yeah. So we know her as the GOAT. She is incredible when she's on top form. Obviously, she's been plagued by injury recently, and that has impacted her minutes, her performance. But we all know how much of an outstanding player that she is. So the fact that she wasn't even offered a new contract, Paul, take it away. What does this mean for Arsenal? What does this mean for other clubs? What does this mean for Viv's future? And is she better off out if they didn't offer her a new contract and didn't appreciate her?
I think I'll get the elephant in the room out of the way first. She's far better off out. And I think at least part of that is because a clip has emerged on Twitter. See, I'm being semi-serious here. A clip has emerged on Twitter. And I think it was from the last Arsenal game. I'm not sure. But basically...
It was at Everton. It was at Walton Hall Park. Yeah. Yeah.
Where Viv Miedema is stood on the touchline getting ready to come on in the last minute or two. And she's doing her warm-up stuff. And we don't hear any conversation. We don't see any of the context of it. All we see is what appears to be Jonas Eideveld just not even looking at her, just shove her out of the way. And Miedema reacts, as you would expect someone to react to that. She clearly snaps back a bit.
Yeah.
And I think if that had been Emma Hayes on Sam Kerr, all hell would have broken loose. Particularly given recent context of things. I find it very interesting that footage has emerged and nobody said anything about it.
Because so that was the game that me and Chloe went to, and we watched Viv warming up, and we thought, it's a couple of minutes, give us some minutes to get back in, because it was just after she'd gone off again with her knee, and we were like, right, okay, a couple of minutes, and then she just disappeared. So we missed that interaction, but we saw her waiting, like you said, and then suddenly she was sitting down again, and we were like, well, what was the point of that? So clearly something had happened, or if that was Jonas, because obviously Everton, that was the one where they equalised later on. So whether he just thought, there's no point. But even from that viewpoint, you keep go until the end, because I think at that point there was still, 5-ish or like a couple of minutes left. So, she could have done something, made something. So it was an odd choice. But the fact that, he does go, right, sit down, essentially, you're not going on. It just felt a bit that there might be something more to the story with that one.
But the thing that bothers me, I mean, see, now we're going into sort of rant mode. Here we go. Here come the one-liners. Now we've got the serious bit out of the way.
Popcorn's ready. Everyone get sorted.
I mean, the first thing, I would never trust anyone at Arsenal to buy a car at all. Because what they've done here is they've got a Ferrari, and they've decided that they'd rather have like a Skoda Octavia in Alessia Russo, and let the Ferrari go for free, and just have some Skoda or a Ford Mondeo or something. Because nice. And the analogy I'm making here is the Skoda will get you there, and it's probably perfect, and it's probably perfectly good, and but it's run of the mill. It's not transcendent. It's not something that will change the way you view life and the world and football. And Viv Miedema's effect in terms of doing that, watching her play, is like watching living art, something at work. She's like a shark. She just cruises gently, and she never seems to really do any work. Russo kind of huffs and puffs and runs around a lot, and occasionally she'll do something and think, not quite bad, but you don't watch Russo during a game. You don't have that buzz. She's not a truly great player. Miedema is, and letting her go for free is a crime against football. You can see why Arsenal fans are so annoyed. And as Catherine Bratt said, she's 27. She's not 37. She's in her prime.
Yeah, we've had loads of people saying that through. Yeah, absolutely. She's 27. Like, what are you doing?
This is probably the greatest female striker of all time, in her prime, wanting to stay at your football club, and you're not even entertaining the possibility.
No.
Like, for someone who isn't that good, just isn't in the same postcode as Viv Miedema, Alessia Russo, and never will be. And I'll say that. And that's probably sacrilege from an English football fan. I know we're supposed to be positive, but Russo will not be in the same postcode as Viv Miedema in any kind of ability. She's lucky to be in the same postcode in terms of playing football, but it's just baffling. It is utterly
ridiculous decision.
It's the kind of decision that you can't believe someone would willingly make. Like,
well, that's kind of the instant reaction, wasn't it? Everyone just kind of went, "What?" Like, like when Emma Hayes said, "Oh, the cup's, the league's gone," and we all went, "Are you okay?" Everyone had that reaction for Viv, because why would you let Viv go? Just because she has been plagued by injury, and I suppose from a business, point of view, you've got to have the people that are performing that you can, rely on to do that. But surely, because injury is such a big part of sports, you can't hold that against anyone. So that seemed a bit harsh. Danny, what was your kind of reaction to that?
It's a shock, isn't it? It's complete and utter shock at why you'd make a decision like that. I get the feeling, looking at it, that maybe it's to do with the manager wanting control of a squad, of a formation. I'm trying to kind of think analytically a little bit about tactics and all that kind of stuff. But with Miedema, just let her go. Literally, you just be like, give the ball, let her play a free role. Don't bring tactics into it too much, and just let her be the player that she is. Like Paul was saying, she is an absolute artist on the ball. That's such a good way of saying it. I don't think it's completely. I don't think we completely need to be comparing her to other players, because there is no one like her. There isn't. You can't. Alessia Russo. Anybody can be what Miedema is. They're talking about having up to 11 league games or up to 11 games, sorry, at the Emirates next season. How are you going to fill that? Vivianne Miedema will do half the job for you just by putting on the pitch. And I just think it's an absolutely ridiculous decision. And especially for the fact that she'll, they know that she's probably going to stay in England, right? And they know that she'll probably go to a title rival. The big rumour is Man City. If that ends up happening, and I think Ellen White was saying, wasn't she? Go there, sign for Man City, score 30 goals a season, and rub it in their face and laugh. Because that's what I want to happen as well. Now, to be honest, because they've dug their own grave there. Honestly, they really have. I just think I saw it put on one of a WhatsApp group that I'm on this week. In 20 years' time, sort of 3 or 4 year olds now will be looking back on it thinking, I wish I'd seen that woman play football. Like, that's how big she is. That's how important she is. That's how amazing she is, and how important she's been to this league, not just Arsenal. She's been one of the key players, if not the key player over the last generation to play football and to bring the WSL up and to bring women's football up. And to release her like that is I feel like it's disrespectful as well to her. And God knows what's going to happen now. I mean, what are the teammates thinking? What's Beth thinking? Honestly, I want to know.
Well, that's the thing.
What's it going to do to the entire squad and the club as well? It's a massive gamble, and I don't think it's going to pay off. Honestly, want to stay in the league, wanted to rip it up and go in, because there's going to be that fire in her belly now as well, isn't it? It's just an astonishing decision. It really is.
Yeah, because so go back to Ellen White, like you said, she said, if she does go to someone else in WSL, I hope she goes to that team, sticks 2 fingers up at Arsenal, scores a few goals and celebrates hard. Yeah, absolutely. Because
and we know what team Ellen White's thinking about as well, don't we?
Yeah. Because that's the thing, because with it being City as well, and you think, they're your rivals. It's not as if like Viv's going to go to Villa or to Leicester, or I mean, she might. We'll take her. But it's not as if that's going to really impact Arsenal if she went to those. But the fact that she's going to City to fight for those top spots, to fight for Champions League, to fight for, winning the league, it's just absolute madness. Because as Simon's put, does anyone think Beth might reconsider a future? It's a hard one, because we know they're solid. Because initially we thought would Viv stay around London? Would she go to West Ham? Would she go to Spurs? I was seeing the controversy this week. Spurs is like the same as a death sentence, according to some fans. But yeah, City seems to be the best place for her, I think, in terms of that. But regarding Beth, I know it might influence how she sees it, depending on how Viv's been treated. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, Paul, do you think Beth is she going anywhere? Or do you think Beth's quite solid for the foreseeable?
I mean, I genuinely wonder. This is how bad relationships and stuff have infiltrated I genuinely wonder whether this was motivated because they'd broken up, and Viv was like, right, okay, the best way to deal with this is to move away. Yeah, well, I don't know either. Nancy agreed. But then of course there was all those tweets of the pair of them together, and an Arsenal fan celebrating Viv's new contract 12 hours before the news came out, which is the greatest "that aged well" tweet I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But
did not.
Yeah, if I'm Beth Mead, it's things like Beth Mead liking posts saying Viv Miedema has been horrendously treated. It's the little passive aggressive things like that, and I just can't work it out. I mean, personally, it's great. I feel vindicated. I've set Twitter on fire, as I tend to do, because I said when Russo signed for Manchester United, this is going to be a car crash. There is going to come to a point where something is going to happen, because Miedema and Russo cannot play in the same team.
No.
Like even especially now they've converted Russo to a number 10. I think that might have almost signed the death. And that's insane. Again, Russo's perfectly good, but she's not the greatest player of all time. People don't pay money unless they're from Lionesses FC to watch Alessi Russo by herself. They pay money to watch Viv Miedema.
Yeah. And considering how, in January they were going to do, when they were going to do the swap for Stina Blackstenius and Russo, and then the rumour now is that they want to keep Blackstenius again for a longer period of time. And you just think how quickly the tides can turn. And we know that's football. We know this happens. We do know this happens to players, and it's hard not to take it personally or emotionally, because when you're so invested in a player such as Viv Miedema, it's really, really hard. But there was something, what was going to do? Oh yeah, it was the fact that Arsenal said it was a natural end to her time there. Danny, a natural end to her time at Arsenal?
Ridiculous again. How is it a natural end? You've got the greatest player of all time of the WSL in your hands. You can't have a natural end for that. You literally can't have it. It's not possible unless she retires. Like when I first heard the news, I thought, oh, it must be her decision, because there's no way in hell that Arsenal would make that decision for her. Like, it's not possible to be a natural end. It's got to. I wonder if it's just come from the manager and he's just thinking, I want to go differently. But like I say, it's the biggest gamble that Arsenal will ever take. And
it's a natural end. Like being shot in the head is a natural death. It's just
just catapulted out the door of Arsenal. It's like, bye.
Yeah,
you don't know.
Like
that's it.
It feels like just the kind of thing that you just look at and go, in a couple of years' time, this is going to be remembered as one of the worst decisions of WSL team has ever made.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm here for it. If Miedema goes to Manchester City and cracks a hat-trick past them, I will be, as the kids say, seated for that. I am ready for that one. We will be there. It's like, but it just makes no. And I saw in the chat. I didn't see who it was. Sorry, but I saw in the chat someone saying maybe people will start to believe all the stuff about Eidevall now.
Yes, that was Simon. Yeah, people might believe what Emma Hayes and Gareth Taylor have said about Jonas all along.
Like, Miedema did say last season that things would have to change at Arsenal this season to convince her to stay, and they obviously just haven't. And she's. The more I think about this, the more I hope that part of it is Miedema realizing her own worth, because she's not exactly one of those shrinking violet corporate football players, is she? She's really self-aware. She's really eloquent. She's really
very humble.
Proud, very humble, but also knows her own worth. Obviously, like when she took time off, and just when people turned around and said, "Oh, are you injured?" She just said, "No, I just can't play."
Yeah,
so I'm taking time off.
Very honest. Yeah,
and maybe that is an issue with Arsenal. Maybe Arsenal being a very corporate, very safe, very image-conscious football team. Maybe Viv Miedema is a bit of a maverick for them. In which case, again, bloody stupid.
Like a threat.
Someone like her, it's like, if Russo's a street artist, you go, here you go, I want you to paint this. Miedema, you just go, there you go, there's a brush, go. That's the difference.
Yeah, doesn't need telling, just knows exactly what to do to make an impact. Yeah, absolutely. Interesting comment there. If Jonas underperforms with Arsenal again, surely they won't keep him. And then essentially they've let their best player go and doesn't fit in with a sacked manager's plans. Yeah, that'll be the interesting one. Again, we all know, like we saw with Mel Phillips, didn't we? She brought in loads of players for Brighton and then suddenly she's gone. And the players she'd brought in or planned to sign, the way she was setting up, was then, in disarray. And, we've had, interim coach just kind of trying to pick up the pieces and kind of make it work. But yeah, it's hard when a manager in particular wants to set up a certain way, sign certain players. So yeah, with that one, if he does go, then what's going to be the next steps is going to be the big question, because now Arsenal, as you mentioned before, they've now announced they're going to play 8 games at the Emirates next season, making it more of their home than Boreham Wood for the first ever time, including Champions League if they do qualify. Everyone's been talking about attendances as well. So I know across the women's game in particular, the games at the men's stadium are more of an occasion. It's very much a day out. It's special. Danny, do you think we can imagine attendances probably won't be the 60,000s that we've been seeing, but do you think with as big as the Arsenal fan base is, do you think they can sustain it enough for it to be viable across that long period of time? Because it's expensive to open a big stadium.
Yeah, I can imagine it is. Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult because there's no real middle ground. Obviously, I don't think they can carry on playing at Boreham Wood with how big they are, and
it's too small, isn't it?
It's way too small. But there's nothing in between to say. Like, the ideal thing probably is to go to like a 20,000-30,000 seat somewhere. I don't know where that is in London, but it's risky. I think it kind of gives you the question of what does success look like? What are they aiming for? Like, what are they aiming to fill it every time? Are they aiming to get sort of 40, 50,000 people every time? Selling your best player, probably not going to help, like I said earlier. Probably not going to help the fan base. But I don't know, it feels like a destination type stadium, doesn't it, for fans? There's a lot of tourist element to it. For Arsenal at home games,
it's like a brand, isn't it? Really,
yeah, it's really weird. It's probably more than any other WSL club. It feels that way when you sort of see their fans at games and things. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I think what the average this season for the 6 games they've had is 52,029. I guess they'll be pretty happy with that if that stays up for the whole 8 games, or 11 if they get to the Champions League. So probably 8 next season. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's the games against, and try not to disrespect teams too much, but against like your West Hams, your Palaces. Maybe I'm not going to disrespect Palace. I love Palace, but you know what I mean. The Leicesters, that kind of game where it maybe gets moved to a Thursday. That kind of situation where you think, is it going to work?
It's the work. Are people going to travel? Are people going to pay? Yeah. Let's say, because it'll be like the top 4 or 5 teams that will draw the crowds, because they do throughout the WSL. But yeah, you're right. It's against Brighton, against Leicester, against Villa. Are people still going to turn up in their numbers for less of a special day, as it were? Paul, because I know you were talking about attendance figures and things, weren't you? What's your opinion on that and the move?
I think they've done it. I think they've gone too early for full time at the Emirates, and I think that they will realise that very quickly, like you say, when the teams like the West Hams are turning up and there's massive shades of red at the Emirates, and it looks half empty, because it's like you say, it's a big destination stadium. When it's full, it's amazing, but when it's empty, it looks huge. And it looks echoey, and I just don't think Lionesses FC are going to turn up to watch Beth Mead or Leslie Russo or anyone like that. I don't think you're going to get the families turn up and go, yeah, let's go and watch Arsenal play. Let's go and watch Leah Williamson. When it's every week, they'll turn around and go, yeah, well, we could go and watch, but there's other stuff going on in London, and we can always go and watch next week because there's 60,000 seats, so there's always going to be space.
Yeah, it becomes less of we need to go this week, or we can't go for the rest of the season. It becomes less of an opportunity if you know it's there all the time. Yeah.
Is that the shades of red you were talking about, Paul? Is that the shade of red that Jonas is going to go when Annabelle Blanchard crosses for Viviana Miedema to score for Palace against Arsenal at the last day of the season?
You know that big banner that Liverpool fans have, "Make us dream." You've just done that, like genuinely.
At least Hughes is going to be out for a bit, so come on, get her in there.
I would the amount of money I would pay to see Viv Mead and Annabelle Blanchard in the same
tandem. Yeah, come on, make it happen.
Hey, anything can happen in this window. We've seen it already.
Swap shop.
Wasn't Frank Kirby linked with Palace as well? Imagine. because they've got American billionaires. Just Palace's front WSL 3 next season. Just Miedemar, Kirby, and Blanchard.
Yeah,
perfect.
And Elise Hughes as a spearhead, like
Top of the league.
okay.
Yeah, Crystal Palace come out and smash it. It's going to be brilliant.
I mean, they're already hit about 6 goals every game, so we're ready for it.
Exactly.
I
Move
am
over
full
Man City.
now. But I just like how everyone made a big thing and it was a meme, the Beth Mead revenge tour when she was back at the Euros.
Yes.
That'll be like a local pub musician compared to a Lady Gaga arena tour that is going to be Viv Miedemar's revenge tour. Like genuinely, I think she'll hit 30 goals. I'm saying that now. I think if she goes to Manchester City and she's motivated, she'll hit 30 goals just to spite Arsenal. I think that's
with the Dutch Cup with Jill Roord as well.
Yeah, Bunny, Viv, Jill Roord, Hemp, Kelly, get them all forward. They're going to be playing like a 2-3, whatever the rest is, formation.
This is just FIFA. This is like fantasy FIFA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Scrap any kind of formation. Just get everyone up front.
1-0-10. Yeah. Just like.
Yeah.
I've gone full circle on this whole pod. I was so angry at Arsenal, but now I'm so excited for the revenge tour. I'm ready for this now.
I think we should get t-shirts.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Need my revenge tour.
Yeah, need a revenge tour.
Depend. Oh no, I've got it. We'll do it properly. You've got like the kind of rock thing at the front, and then down the back, like the stadium's just like 14th of March, Joy Stadium, whatever. 15th of March, King Power. Just all the way down there, like the venues, and do it properly.
Just keep adding it. Then the end of the season, you've just got like a timeline of her tour. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many goals scored in each one as well.
That's the absolute football. Let's see. Someone give a graphics design that. Just the Miedemar's revenge.
Yeah, just her on like a little bus. Oh, the Dutch bus that follows them round. You know, the big famous bus. We could have like Viv in the bus at like the top of the graphic, and then just like a tour, like meandering down with all the stadiums on it. Done. I'll make it. Fine.
Sorted. That's your summer job.
That's my job over the summer. With that one, yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, the anger is gone. We've gone into acceptance.
Worked through it. Yeah,
we have. See, it's like therapy. This podcast. That's exactly it. That's what it is.
That's what I use the rant for.
Yeah,
just anger management.
Anger management. Yeah, is there anything else people would like to say about Viv or Arsenal or the FA Cup or anything that I've talked about so far that before we move on to our final bits?
No, I think got it all out now.
Out
the system. Yeah.
And we can breathe. The popcorn is down. We are good. So it was also this week we had the Lionesses squad announced for the upcoming 2 fixtures, upcoming 2 camps. Are we happy? I think I was pleasantly happy, pleasantly surprised. Paul, what do you think? Good group to take us through?
I'm more excited about the standby players because, like you say, the main squad is the main squad. I will anticipate you as a Sunderland fan talking about how Kayla Vendel was picked when she wasn't the Gold Glove winner in the Championship.
No,
and I think that Claudia Moran has been robbed there, and I think that's because she plays. That's because she doesn't play for a glamorous club or a Southern club.
But no, it is. It's geography, isn't it?
It is, and the standby players still annoy me massively because I still think Shannon O'Brien is being criminally overlooked, but that might be Coventry bias. So I'm man enough to admit that. But Missy Bo-Kearns getting into the standby squad is amazing.
Yes. So for people who want to show it, they did release the England squad for the upcoming European qualifiers, including 1, 2, 4 standby players, which is the first time we've seen that so obviously as who is on standby, and that's because it is for the next 2 camps. So goalkeepers, we've got Mary Earps, Hannah Hampton, Kiara Keating, of course, and Kayla Rendell as well on standby. Defenders, we've got Millie Bright, Lucy Bronze, Jess Carter, Neve Charles, Alex Greenwood, Myla Tissier on standby, Esme Morgan, Millie Turner, Lee Williamson, and Lotta Vubben-Moy. Midfielders, we've got Grace Clinton, Missy Ball-Kearns, as Paul said, is on standby. Frank Kirby, Jess Park, Georgia Samway, Ella Toon, and Kira Walsh. And forwards, Aggie Beaver-Jones. She's done it. She got the
Come
call
on,
up.
Aggie.
Yes. Lauren James, Chloe Kelly, Beth Mead, Jess Naz on standby. Good on you, Jess. And Alessia Russo as well. Bit of heartbreaking not seeing Rachel Daly in there, but it's okay. I'll get through it. But for Jess Naz getting a shout as well, like that's been a long time coming, hasn't it? For her.
Yeah, definitely has. Yeah,
really,
she's
really
rapid as well. She's got the feel of someone who could come on and do something and change the game, hasn't she? And just excited to see her get the opportunity. But I was looking down the list earlier as well, and seeing seeing players born in 2000, 2001 who's got their birthdays on it. I'm like, that can't be right.
Yeah,
but it is.
They're not old enough for this.
Yeah. But no, brilliant to see Jess in there. The Missy Bo as well, brilliant. Missy Ball-Kearns in there.
Yeah.
It's great as well to see Jess Park in there and not be surprised and not think, oh yeah, Jess is there. It's like she's part of the furniture now, almost in a really good way.
Yeah, like you're expecting her.
So quickly, she's kind of established herself, and you kind of look down the list. She's in the same kind of conversation where you look at, oh yeah, Georgia's there, Ella's there, Kira's there, Jess is there. You're reeling it off. You're like, oh wait, actually, yeah, that's quite new still, but yeah. I'm so excited by her. I think she's got all the tools, hasn't she? And just good to see her involved again. Absolutely,
yeah. Becoming one of those core members, like you say. Paul, apart from, is there anyone there that you'd think? I know we talked about Shanna Bryan. I want to shout for Maz Pacheco as well. I think she would be phenomenal. Anyone there that you're surprised that keeps making the squad? Not thinking of anyone in particular.
I can, but I was trying to hold back I was trying to hold back just for a half second, so it wasn't like it didn't sound harsh before you finished the question. I was like, who it is? Esme Morgan. Like,
I won't get it.
I don't get the Esme Morgan thing.
No.
Unless they have a real need to keep a seat warm in stadiums around Europe. Like, genuinely. She's hardly played for Man City, which flies in the face of all of Serena's talk about wanting to play for minutes.
And that's what annoys me, because Serena's always said you need to be playing minutes for club. You need to prove yourself. You need to be challenging. You need to be pushing. And Esme's not doing that. She's a lovely girl, don't get us wrong, but when we keep seeing how tight this fight is for a space. I mean, because if you look at Myla Tissier, she's played every game, I think, for United this season, or at least close to. And you think, if anything, she shouldn't be on standby. She should be in the squad if that's what we're basing it on. So I don't know how she's still getting it. But
the thing that annoys me the most about it, I think, is she's being picked as a centre back. And fine, she might play centre back for Man City occasionally or whatever else, but she's a fullback, and it seems weird to justify Myla Tissier not being picked with we think she's a right back, even though she plays centre back for club, and then pick a fullback for her club to play centre back. It just doesn't make sense.
No.
There are incriminating documents somewhere in Esme Morgan's desk, I'm sure, that kept carefully under lock and key. There's a bank vault somewhere that just has, I don't know, Serena Wiegman offering to do something. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything because I'll probably get into trouble. But
I was going to say, let's stop there.
Let's stop there.
Just in case.
Maybe she's being picked for a bet. Like maybe there's some sort of FA bet going on, and it's like, how many times can we pick Esme Morgan before people start turning around and going, actual journalists start turning around and going, really?
Because I might just not have seen it, but no one seems to be questioning it. It's not like a big topic of conversation, is it? So
it's like how far can we push this in Serena We Trust thing? Can we just pick someone who isn't playing and everyone will go, oh, she must see something in Esme Morgan. Yeah, well, that's fine.
It's a bit like, when our Rosie announced that she'd signed for Chelsea and loads of people were saying, oh my God, congratulations. Then when she said she was leaving, oh, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for, it's just like a name on a sheet, isn't it? That people are like, oh yeah, the player, they must be good. They must be getting picked. And it becomes almost like a mirage. Like you're not quite sure what's going on and you think, okay, well, she's getting picked, then she's getting picked for a reason. I don't know. I really don't. With that one, I do like what Truth's put. Maya has played every minute of the season, so thank you for that one. It was what Simon put. Sorry, she's the Lionesses version of Jordan Henderson. Doesn't matter how they play, and the laws get picked.
Apart from the whole betraying her whole entire principles thing.
Well,
she hasn't done that yet.
Yeah, and inappropriate comments, I might get the pod cancelled. Josh is saying, yeah, you're absolutely right. So we're just copying off the boss, really. So if the boss says it's okay, then we shall go in his stead.
Truth has got a great point, by the way. I do. You can bring it up. Yeah, Grace Fisk has been fantastic this season. I think she should have been given a chance. If there's one person who I think they should have been given to, definitely Grace Fisk is up there.
Yeah, because her name has been talked about a lot more recently, which I think is great because it reflects, like you said, her season and how good she has been. City fans defend Esme saying she's versatile. Is she? Not to throw any shade. But we saw that with Rachel Daly, though. She was versatile and that was her downfall.
So is a bird's eye potato waffle, but you don't see her right back to you.
Why in my head have I got the Captain Birdseye jingle now? Thanks for that. Better defensively than Lucy Bronze. Yeah.
Come on.
Well, that's the next thing, isn't it? People giving grief to Lucy Bronze, and you're like, you can't. No, everything no, we won't even go into that because that's a whole different rant. I will not get on my soapbox for that one. But yeah, it begs the question: what is the main thing that Serena is looking for? Because her words do not mix with her actions and how she picks a squad, which is frustrating.
Maybe she's good in the changing room. Maybe she makes really good tea, Esme Morgan, or maybe she's. Do you reckon she's like the teacher's pet? Do you reckon she's like up first thing in the morning with Serena's boiled egg or something?
Serena's boiled egg.
Hashtag Serena's boiled egg. Just like there's that kid at school who was really not very good at anything, but always seemed to get prizes or get picked for the sports team or whatever else, and the teacher seemed to unaccountably like. Do you reckon Esme Morgan's that?
There must be something, yeah.
Like the participation, yeah. All the videos that you see and all the content, you just think she seems so lovely, and she would be lovely to have on camp and part of the squad. But yeah, you just think
the dog.
Well,
what you say?
No, it's true. But you do wonder, okay, but everyone there should have a purpose. And if they were to be called upon to play in that position, would they be able to do it? And that's ultimately what you want, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Someone who you don't have any doubts about. And you're like, yeah, right. If see them in the starting lineup, no question, no whatever. So hey, I'm happy to be proven wrong with that one. But yeah, I thought she was the only one that kind of stood out as, is that the right thing? Serena was asked, interestingly, how there was a lot of talent in the championship. Now, this is, again, words, actions. She said, and I quote, There's a lot of talent in the Championship, but they need to prove themselves in the WSL as there's such a massive gap between the two leagues. But Kayla Rendell's been picked as the 4th goalkeeper. So just to follow up with what Paul said earlier, Claudia Morn, who plays for Sunderland, she got the Golden Glove for the Championship this season, and she also got Player of the Season. Did you see that? I think it was today or yesterday, got announced. So the fact that she's been incredible this season, you just would have liked maybe a nod, maybe a look in, maybe part of the conversation would have been really nice. Because nothing against Kayla, but she plays Southampton. Sunderland ultimately finished higher than Southampton. So you just think if there was that comment made about Championship talent not being good enough yet for the WSL, it's just a shame that that's carried over into the goalies as well when that doesn't quite match up. But yeah, Sam put... Oh, we'll come to Sam's comment in a minute because it was a really good one. But is there anyone in the Championship that, I know we've got a couple of names, both of you, if they ultimately in a few years could get a shout for the England squad, who are you coming for? And a couple of years from the Championship, names that we've been kind of watching out for, who do you think would be good in the England squad?
I mean, Blanchard's the one that I've been kind of watching all season. I mean, watched loads of Palace games this season. Annabelle Blanchard, still only 22, still got a chance. I think really electric winger. She creates so much. I feel like if it's going to happen, it's going to have to be the next couple of years to get into Serena's head and to get into her mind. But yeah, she's the one that I look at. I think Moen would be definitely one as well because the amount of how good she's been this season, like you said. But yeah, there's a few. I mean, the Championship's been outstanding this season, hasn't it? It's been amazing. So I'm looking forward to more next season. And yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. If anybody hasn't checked it out, if watching the FA Player every Sunday, pretty much at 2:00, there's a game on at least, and such good quality. So yeah, I'm hanging my hat on Blanchard. We'll come to the under-17s later. Because there's a couple in there that have been brilliant. Not quite in the Championship, but they might get loaned maybe to the Championship.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say we'll talk about those in a sec. Paul, for you, any Championship players that you think, yeah, they need to be in a Lionesses shirt at some point?
Well, Dan has sung the praises of Annabelle Blanchard, and I could easily do another 15 minutes on that. But I'm going to pick one current Sunderland player and one former Sunderland player.
Okay.
So both taking place. The current Sunderland player, Katie Watson, because she's just something else.
Yeah.
Like she is an absolute racing snake of a player. Like speed wise, she just absolutely flies, and then she can finish. And she's what, 17, 18?
Yes.
And she's already doing what she's doing. And the former Sunderland player, who I am quite surprised didn't get a WSL move last season, only went as far as Birmingham, was Niamh Herron. Because
I thought that,
like the way she became a colossus for Sunderland last season, because she could play in defence, she could play in midfield, and then I did wonder over the summer. Obviously, I've proved wrong. If losing Niamh Herron would be really, really detrimental to Sunderland, but she's such a composed, talented player. She can ping balls all over the pitch, and she reminds me of Leah Williamson in that respect. So she is very much a player that I would keep an eye out on. I'm trying to remember anything. Izzy Goodwin as well. We're
Izzy Goodwin. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. There's obviously we're going to be seeing more of Michelle Ajimang as well. She's been on loan in the Championship this season for Watford. Whether she'll get a look in, maybe she will get a look at Arsenal now. I don't know, but she's one that she's got absolutely everything as a forward, as a number 9 to go on and play in the WSL consistently. She's one that I'd like to see given a little bit more kind of game, give more of a chance in WSL this season, maybe.
Yeah, I think the word last time from Jonas was they're going to sort out another loan for her.
Yeah, which would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So fingers crossed. It's a WSL team this time. Villa, we've got a small squad. We'll take it. We need everyone, because I think Villa have got 7 players at the end of their contract in the summer. So like I said earlier, Rachel Corsi's signed another year. But yeah, so I think there'll be a lot of movement. And as we've seen, so much has already started and been announced. It's going to be a very interesting summer. I believe the transfer window opens officially on the 13th of June. I believe that was announced today. So not too long to wait at all, just less than a month. Perfect. So we've talked about that. We talked about the standbys. Today as well, the under 17s Euros, the young Lionesses, they are through to the final. Danny, I know you were watching a bit of that semi-final. Was it against Poland?
Yeah, Poland today. Yeah. So they've won all 3 group games, and they've got Poland go straight to semi-finals today. It's Poland.
Incredible. And from what you saw, have you got any highlights for us? Anyone to watch out for?
There's a few to look out for. I watched the game against France as well, which was a much different game, but this one, there's the likes of Isabella Fisher. She's been scoring a lot of goals in the tournament. She's one to watch for sure up front. A lot of stuff was going down the left-hand side against Poland. Rachel Maltby, I've spoken to you a little bit earlier about her, Freya. She's outstanding at left back. She's got such good technique about her for someone so young as well. The one standout, probably from attacking point of view as well, Lola Brown. I think she's a Chelsea player at the minute. I'd love to see her in the Championship this season. She is on either wing. She creates. I think she put the cross in for the first goal today. She's a little wizard on either wing. She will literally. She's small, but she'll get around the pitch and she'll create stuff. She's got a brilliant cross in her. Takes a lot of set pieces. She's the one that really stands out, and I think is one to watch. If you're watching the final on Saturday, do check her out. She's really good, nippy little player. 2-0 win against Poland, and there we go into the final against Spain on Saturday. Spain beats France 6-1 in the other semi-final, so that's going to be probably a little bit more of a test, because Spain have been absolutely bossing it the entire tournament. As really? They do.
It's not like Spain.
So there we go. Yeah, Spain in the final again. It's going to be
and what a final that's going to be as well.
Yeah.
For their experience. Yeah.
It's so nice to see the scenes as well after the game. There's the players pitch invading, and it means so much to them. I think it's got some sort of ramifications for the under-17s World Cup as well, that they get there automatically. The 3rd and 4th playoff has some sort of impact on that as well, so that whoever wins that gets through to the World Cup. So there's loads to play for, but just really good to see such good young players coming through, and the future is definitely bright by the looks of it.
Yeah, fantastic. And I've seen a couple of clips of Lola Brown as well, and she just seems so lovely. And again, still so humble and just so appreciative of all these opportunities, and just wants to play our best. So so a couple of names there, everyone to look out for in the next few seasons. Now, before we get on to predictions for the weekend, Sam, our lovely Sam, put a question there. Team, who is the player currently not playing in England you'd like to see signed by a WSL side this summer? Now, I know we've talked about a few names already, but is there anyone else that springs to mind? If so, maybe we can do realistic versus heart. So contracts aside, money aside, who would you love to see in the WSL?
It's hard to think. It's hard to think without going to the big names, isn't it? There's one name in mind that it won't happen because she's only just signed from. But I adopted Kansas City Current as my NWSL team this summer. I jumped on the bandwagon completely. Temwa Chawinga is phenomenal. She's speed
brilliant, isn't she?
She is absolutely rapid. She seems such a good character as well. I would bring her in an instant to any WSL team. She'll be smashing it. If anybody hasn't seen her, go and check her out. She is phenomenal. To get her in somewhere, but at the same time, don't, because I want Kansas City to win the league. They're currently top.
She can sit there at the end of their season, and then pop over.
Oshiala would be the other one for me, I think, as well. She'd fit right in.
Yeah. What absolute legend. Paul, how about for you?
Yeah, I have like about 10, so we could be sat here the whole time. NWSL, Rachel Kudananji.
Yep.
Yes.
Because, firstly, representation of African players. There's so many talented African players who are not really being seen. Like we saw this at the World Cup. European wise, we've mentioned Eva Payor, we've mentioned Lena Oberdorf, although she's probably likely to stay in the Bundesliga. But the name, the slightly off the radar, only in the sense that she doesn't play as a striker and she isn't being mentioned all the time, that I would absolutely love to see in the WSL. Sakina Karshawi.
Yes.
Because contrary to what people who hear me talk about Lucy Bronze might think, I love a flying fullback and or a flying winger. And
sounds Sakina, like a Pokemon, doesn't it? A flying fullback. Sorry, yeah.
Sounds like a what?
Sounds like a Pokemon, or like a type of dragon. Just a flying fullback. Yeah.
Why do I now want to do a Pokemon voice? Flying fullback. No, that's just all it says. Just Sakina Karshawi running with the ball, yelling "Flying fullback" every 2 seconds.
Special attack, go! No, yeah.
Special attack. Lucy Bronze used out of position once again. It wasn't effective. Right. Anyway,
Stina Blackson used offside. Oh wait, no, she wasn't. That's fine.
No, no. Sakina Karshawi, Selma Bashir on the other side as well. Like that French wide section as well, with Kelly Diartudiani and it's Delphine Cascarino. Like any of the French wide players, but ideally because they don't get the recognition, Sakina Karshawi, because I think she would. People talk about Emily Fox, people talk about Niamh Charles, people talk about Guro Wright, and Sakina Karshawi coming to the WSL.
Yeah,
would absolutely would terrify opposition fullbacks. It'd be. See, you've got me dreaming about it already. Just
because there was a rumor she might be on the move, wasn't there? But I think she re-signed, didn't she, with her club?
Yeah,
but yeah, for a minute I was like, "Oh, could she? Might she? Will she come?"
It's just one of those. And I think Marie Antoinette Katoto would be interesting as well. If we're talking strikers,
yeah. There's so much fire in that team, and that's why they're doing as well as they are, because they fight for everything, and you know they're on the pitch. Like their presence is definitely felt.
I think Katie McCabe would meet a match against Sakina Karshawi.
Oh, that's a matchup I'd like. Yep.
Can we just have an Ireland versus France friendly, and just the other 10 players can do what they like? Just at least 50 minutes has to be Karshawi versus McCabe.
Well, why don't we do like ultimate fantasy team?
Yes.
And just like mix them all together and see who we'd like to battle it off.
That's a summer one. That's a whole summer one.
That's a summer pod.
Celebrity deathmatch type deal.
Yeah, we do it like a draft as well. So if someone picks a player, you're not allowed. So we'd have arguments over players picking other players first, panelists picking other players first, and all sorts. It could cause them hell to break. It'd make a great hour and a half. I'm willing to bet that.
No, I like it. It's good. I also wish that people would stop doing this with transfer news, with like alarm bells, and then following up with Lucy Bronze might leave Barcelona.
All about the clicks.
Her contract is up. But please don't do that to us. But yeah, as much as we love a rumor, just no, not until it's signed, sealed, it's been announced. I can't cope with all the rumors with that one. I would like to see, just purely for entertainment, Aitana. I just love to see her on a weekly basis. But actually, going back to French players, I really rate De Almeida from PSG as a defender. Really rate her. from what I've seen. Isn't afraid to put attack in.
I've just thought actual realistic French player, because with all due respect to the club she plays for, it's not Paris Saint-Germain or Lyon. Clara Matteo.
Oh, that's a shout.
Paris FC.
Yeah. That's a shout. We can do that. Okay. Where is she going then, Paul? Which team is she joining?
I love you said, oh, yeah, we can do that. It's like we're the gatekeepers, the transfer window. Yeah, we get that done. Yeah.
well, Nancy's in charge, but Nancy's letting us do the talking.
Nancy Kashawi. I was really hoping she'd meow back then. That would have been perfect.
Great if she did.
But yeah, well, I think Clara Matteo would go to one of the slightly less, someone not your big three or your big four. I think she's a Spurs, a Villa, a Spurs, a Villa type of trying to push players over to the next level.
Yeah.
And
I'll get her agent on the phone. I'll give her a bell. See how she feels.
Have a word with Clara. Get Ken Zadali to translate for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Kenza, come here a minute. Can you do a bit of translating? Yes, please. And thank you.
Valentina Giacinti.
Giacinti. Yeah. She's yeah. To be fair, a lot of the Roma squad, to be fair, I'd take. Giuliani as well. I'd take her.
Giacinti, though, I have selfish motives because she's like my player crush, because I just love what I got to, because obviously the Lionesses got to play Italy at Coventry, so I got to see her play live.
Yeah,
and obviously I was just sat there like stereotypically. Everyone else is watching the Lionesses, and I'm just watching Giacinti going, finally getting to see her play live.
Yeah, seeing the magic, seeing what she can do.
I'm like you. She's my version of Piemonte.
Don't know what you're talking about. I've never mentioned her once. With that one. Brilliant. Right. So let's get to, I think that was it then we want to. So final day match preview then. Final thing we're going to talk about tonight. It's going to all hang in the balance, isn't it? With what happens. So we'll do some quick previews, predictions even, and we'll see who we think is going to lift the trophy. So every match this weekend, of course, is final day, so everyone kicks off at 3:00 on Saturday. So first up, we've got Spurs West Ham. Danny, what do you think? Spurs West Ham.
Spurs West Ham. I feel like Spurs need a bit of a lift, don't they? Bless them. They had a rough week, so I'm going to go Spurs to win 2-1. This one, just to give them a little send off, a bit of happiness before the summer, because I don't want them to lose again. That'll be sad.
It will be very sad. Paul, what are you thinking?
Spurs. I'm not as confident as Danny in predicting scores, but I think Spurs will win.
Yeah, I'm hoping for Spurs. Hey, we're Team Spurs again. We need them to get that win for this one. Okay, next up, Leicester Liverpool. Danny.
I feel like this one could be the one. You know where you always get last game of the season, which is just batshit. Can I say batshit? I've said it. Batshit crazy match. Where there's batshit crazy match with about 9 goals, like a 5-4 or something. I feel like this is like two teams that have had good seasons. They're just going to let loose. I'm going to go 5-3 to Liverpool. Just nuts 5-3. Game. So lump on a 0-0 now. Yeah.
Brilliant. Paul, how many goals do you think it's going to be in this one?
4-4. Like, I'll get. I like Danny's vibe of just batshit crazy game that has nothing riding on it, but everything happens. But
everything at it. Everyone up front. Back to that 10-1-0 formation. And just go for it. Yeah. It
reminds me of like coming from ice hockey. It reminds me of like the English League has a weekend where the final four, basically like a final four, and it has the 2 semis on the Saturday and the final on the Sunday. but the league decided it would be a great idea to have a third, fourth place playoff. And that was always batshit because the losing teams in the semi-finals very obviously went out and got pissed the night before. So it's just like, you'd have like goalies playing up front in full kit and all sorts of stuff.
Can we just make that a rule? Like, draw one out the hat that doesn't mean anything. Like, no relegation, no title implications or anything. Mid-table battle like this. Or put them all in a hat, draw one out, and say whichever one comes out, all of your squad have got to go get pissed on Friday night and come on Saturday. That's the rules. Like, you have to do it. It's mandatory, and just see what happens.
Just reverse position. So you're like, right, okay, Liverpool have got to play Sophie Roman Howard in goal.
Yeah.
And they've got to play Rachel Laws.
Position out of the hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of the hat is even better.
Rantelau at centre back. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that's the carnage game. Right, 0-0 then.
If you're listening, Nuko, the carnage game, and it only gets announced on the morning of the game when the team. You only find out when the team list comes out, and it's like rather than just the team list, they have to be in formation, and it's like Sophie Roman Howard in goal, and it was like carnage game. There we go.
I would pay good money for that. I think that should happen. Whether it's under a charity match or what, I think carnage football needs to definitely be a thing. That's who am I going to bet? Okay, Liverpool 3-2. I'm going to go a bit more reserved. But yeah, goals galore in that one. Okay, next up, we've got Bristol Everton. Danny, what do you think?
This is a nice game, isn't it? Like, we love Bristol City. We love what they've done. We love Brian Sorensen on the pod, don't we? We're really behind what he's doing.
We
love that he's finally got some recognition in the last week or so as well.
Yes.
So good to see that. I really want Bristol City to get a win just before they say goodbye. But I feel like, again, it might be one where the shackles get let off and Everton win sort of 4-1, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, Paul, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Everton win. I want to say Martina Piemonte hat-trick just to go full chaos.
Just to completely go for it. Yeah, I'm up for that. I'll take that. That's fun. Or it goes the opposite way and Brighton win like 8-0 because they've just thought, it's last match in the WSL. Let's go for it. They just absolutely smash it. Because they're at home, so why not? Yeah. So Bristol.
Bristol, by the way, we will talk about next season, but I think they've committed to having the home games at Ashton Gate again next season, haven't they? And they've been doing really well there this season. So hopefully they can bounce back pretty well next season.
Absolutely. And I think they've sold more season tickets, I think, for this season than they did for last season. So the fact that they've been relegated and the fans have still gone, that's our team. And in fact, we've grown our fan base because of this. It's phenomenal. So well done, Bristol City, for backing your team. Well done. So the next match was Arsenal-Brighton. Danny.
Will Miedemar get the farewell or not? Will she be allowed the farewell? Surely
Farewell hat trick.
For it. Yeah, imagine. Actually, Viv, we just realised how good you are again. And then she just flips the bird and walks off. Arsenal win this, don't they? You would think fairly comfortably. Yeah, I think so. 2-0 maybe. 2-0. You've got to give Viv a moment and you'd say goodbye. There's going to be a lot of goodbyes this weekend as well, isn't there? So
it's going to be an emotional weekend.
It really is. Yeah.
For managers as well. Yeah. Paul, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go Team Chaos and say Brighton.
Imagine.
Elizabeth
Turland with a 5-goal thriller.
Viv just scores an own goal out of spite.
Yeah. Just stands by the goal and keeps kicking them in.
Signs a Brighton contract as she comes off the pitch.
just like full wrestling, just chair shot to Idabel.
That's Alessia Russo's music. Oh, dear.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Oh, Graham's put in there as well. Charlton women are playing all home games at the Valley next year too, which is brilliant.
Great.
That is really brilliant. Well done. Thank you for that, Graham. Okay, so it was Arsenal Brighton. Right. Then we come to the title race. Man United, Chelsea at Old Trafford. Danny, what are you thinking?
So what are we with Chelsea top by 2 goals at the minute? That's where we are, isn't it?
2 goals, yeah.
2 goals. There's got to be some twists and turns, right? You would imagine on the last day.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Chelsea win because that's what Chelsea do. I'm going to go United to score first, but Chelsea turn it around to win 2-1. Just to have that little bit of drama going in. So 2-1 Chelsea, I think I'll go.
Yeah, so a really nice tight scoreline there as well. They get like a last minute winner to see that.
Well,
Aki Beaver Jones.
See where my other prediction takes me.
Paul, what are you thinking?
I think I want Man United to score, but I want it to be one of those games where the home team scores and then gets absolutely annihilated. like a Man United goal after the first minute or something, and so everybody goes, "Oh, hello," and all that does is poke the bear.
Yeah,
and you get like Guru Wrighton going full Lord of the Rings, riding for ruin and getting another 4 goals, and like Aggie Beaver Jones just scoring 3 and holding up a sign saying "Lessie who" or something. I don't know, just full on like absolute chaos. But no, in all seriousness, I think Chelsea win, and I think it will come down to if. Well, I'll save it because we've got to talk about the other game. But I think Chelsea win.
And Chelsea just going to do it. Yeah, so the last game then to talk about is, of course, Villa versus City at Villa Park. And City need at least, 3-4 goals to overturn the difference to go through.
Yeah.
I just think they didn't do it, Danny.
I think they could if they get one early. They've got to score. They've got to overtake the 2 goals because I think it goes to goals scored after, and Chelsea are ahead on that as well. So after goal difference goes to goals scored. So Chelsea really are in prime position. So I think City have got to really, really go for it. So if Chelsea win 2-1, City have got to win 4-0. I think I'm right in saying. Is that right? Sounds about right. They've got to win 4-0 to overtake them because 3-0 wouldn't be enough. 3-0 would just bring them level, wouldn't it? Yeah. So that would bring them level. Yeah. So 4 would be, they'd need to win 4-0. It's a tough ask, and like for Chelsea to score once, and Man City to then need to score 4 goals. They're going to need to be on it from the start. And I think they're just going to go for it because they, like I said earlier, they're going to assume that Chelsea are going to win. They've just got to have that mentality and just go for the goals. Get a couple early on, you never know. And I speak as someone who's suffered the worst kind of last day of the season based on this kind of thing in the past for my men's team. And it's not a nice thing to happen when the other team overtakes you just because they've scored a load of goals against the under-12s teams. That's another podcast. I think City maybe get 3. And it goes down to goals scored. They get 3, they go for it. It's going to be one of those times where they're throwing everything at it to go and get a 4th, and they just don't manage it. And Chelsea sneak out and win the title on goals scored, which is insane.
And that would be the most Chelsea thing for them to do.
Yeah. Emma Hayes riding off into the sunset.
Just like, told you so. Absolutely. Paul, what are your thoughts for the Villa City game?
I mean, I am on air on the Live Sports Show, so I get to do the full Soccer Saturday thing.
Oh, nice.
Amazing.
And we talk about it a lot. Coventry is probably sick of hearing about women's football now because we talk about it loads and we get to do the whole thing. I think Villa win. I genuinely think Villa win. Yes.
Wow. Okay. How?
because I think you have. Do you remember Anna Lee against Arsenal?
Yes.
and the absolute ridiculousness. I think it's set up for one of those games. It's like, see, categories, but I think it is set for one of those games because United City have to score a ridiculous number of goals, and I think this is one of those where Man City do everything but score. Like hit both posts, hit the woodwork, hit a random defender's arse rather than going in. Like the ball rolls along the line and then gets blown back the other way. I don't know, just every single possible thing happens. And as the game goes on and on, Manchester City get more and more.
Just nothing seems to work. Yeah, that sounds good to me. I mean, Villa, as much as I would love them to get something, get a point, a win would be phenomenal to end the season, to give Carla Ward that send-off. Thank you for everything. We've won City for you. Woohoo. I'd love it to happen. Just want to be a bit realistic. But yeah, if Villa can get a draw out of that would be phenomenal. But yeah, they might sit deep, really frustrate City, and then maybe get a rare attack on the counter. Who knows? But yeah, I'd love a Villa win. But I would take a draw. But yeah, it's going to be some magic for City to unfortunately overturn that goal difference, isn't it, with that one? I love how vocal Nancy is about this.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I feel like Nancy's in support of that.
Podcast mascot, Nancy is now. Graham's done a really good shout. We were going to come to it, Graham. Just want to wish Her Game 2 a happy 3rd birthday and for all the fantastic work they do to make football a more comfortable and welcome place in football. So yes, absolutely happy birthday to Her Game 2 that the pod has worked with on quite a few occasions. So yes, happy birthday to them. There is one thing we're going to plug before we go. Let me get it. Hang on. Because our lovely Sam and lovely Rebecca have talked about, it's uploading, we're processing. Hang on. Bear with, it is worth it. They've recorded a special episode of the story of Accrington Stanley with our very own Rebecca and Sam. They recorded it the other evening, and I believe it's going to debut this weekend. So please do go check that out. They've put a lot of time and effort into it, and I know it's going to be phenomenal. So yeah, just going to plug that there for Rebecca and Sam. But yeah, so this weekend, I believe. So do check it out and follow our socials for any notifications. And if you want to do that, hey, look at that link. Right. We are across all social media, anywhere you can find us. Pretty much any variation of @AbsoluteBallPod. So on X, Twitter, that's where we are. YouTube, of course, is where you can find us live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at Absolute Football Podcast. Twitch, TikTok at Absolute Football Pod. Instagram, of course, just add a _, and the same for Threads as well, if anyone uses Threads. And on Facebook, we are the Absolute Football Podcast. So there's the whole team and our avatars. Do give us a follow, subscribe, a like to catch up with all of the latest news and gossip from us. And speaking of news and gossip, Paul, thank you very much for this evening. If anyone would like to follow you on your rantings and ravings, where can they do that?
I'm going to try and point the right way here.
I was just practicing this.
I was there. So, there you go.
Kind of, yeah.
Sort of there.
There you go.
At Paul W Radio on Twitter, where you can hear me ranting about, read me ranting about stuff. The odd picture of Nancy as well, who is the new podcast star. Are you going to come and say? You going to come and say bye? Come here.
That was actually a no.
There she is.
There you go.
There she is.
There she is. She was wriggling a lot. She keeps being picked up, but yeah. There you go. Unfortunately, though, she doesn't have a Twitter account, so I might set one up for her now.
You're going to have to make one, yeah. Nancy the football cat. Yeah.
Nancy the football cat.
Brilliant, love it. And Danny, if people would like to find more of you, where can they do so?
I've made this longer this week, just that's out of a tactic so that I can easily point to it. put my surname in and that. There we go. I still can't do it properly. At Danny Brothers on Twitter, at Danny the Brothers on Instagram, at Cobblers to Me is our podcast all about Northampton Town men and women.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, I got ridiculed last week for pointing because I didn't realize my camera had flipped. So I was like, yeah, it's there. And everyone was like, oh, you got it wrong. Right. Is it there?
Yeah. There you go.
Ah, perfect. Right. On my screen, it's there. So I'm just going to do this for my benefit and for everyone else's. So yeah, if you want to see more of me, I'm at T4AT on Twitter and Instagram, or if you want more football in general, at the whole 115 yards, again, across all socials, especially Instagram and TikTok as well, because I'm down with the kids. So thank you very, very much for everyone that's joined us this evening. And we can't wait to reflect on this last amazing, dramatic, chaotic weekend in next week's episode. So live Wednesday at 8:30. We can't wait to see you there. Thank you for everyone in the chats, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Thank you. Goodbye.